Don't watch at night warning up top. This is a book club episode, meaning that months in advance, we selected a book and we announced it on our show for you to read along with us so that you could then come to the discussion episode. If you've read the book, you're ready. If you haven't had a chance to read it yet, but you really want to, we have tons of resources and reviews in our show notes for you to look through. Otherwise, do consider the fact that we're about to drop some spoilers galore. Hello and welcome back. This is Don't Watch at Night, a spooky little podcast dedicated to Latin American and Spanish language horror. I'm your host, Valerie.
And I'm Veronica.
Veronica, welcome to our 60th episode. Hard to believe that we're at 60 already. That's pretty cool. How are you doing? You taught today?
Yeah, I teach 2 classes on Sunday mornings. I wake up at 7. So I don't get to ever sleep in anymore.
Yeah.
I wake up at 5 on weekdays to go to work and 7 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays to go teach.
Are you still loving it, or is it like...
No, I mean, I like it. I enjoy it once I'm there. I just don't like the waking up in the morning part.
You're becoming one of those morning exercise people. Before you know it, you're going to be one of those people out there at like the butt crack of dawn, working out in the darkness.
No.
How
are you doing? Was that this week that you fell and scraped your knees?
Yeah. So
find something else to do, Valerie. Find something else.
So I was outside running, guys. I went out for a run. It was maybe my second week, my second run back from following my period of being sick. And I texted a picture to the family text thread because I fell while running on the side. And you know, like when I was trying to explain it to people, when you fall and your like forward momentum is going, you just skid across the sidewalk. And I fell in front of a restaurant full of people.
Did anybody come out to help you?
No, because I hopped back up as fast as I could because that's the terror, right? That someone's going to pull over and be like, are you okay? And so that would just complete the humiliation. So I hopped back up and limped off the main road and made it home. But I'm hurting. I'm limping. Alex is like, he goes, man, I never expected to be married to somebody with a peg leg because I'm like walking around like. So
the other day, I think it might have been the same day or maybe the day after you texted that picture of both your knees like pretty badly skinned.
Bloodied.
I was pulling into the driveway and like right as I was going to turn in, I was coming down the street and there were like 2 young boys out riding their bikes and one of them just like fell off his bike and, was wearing shorts. So he skinned his knee and he's laying on the ground. His friend's trying to help him like get out because they're in the middle of the road and they see me coming. And so when I pulled in, I was like, are you okay? And like, he was all embarrassed and trying not to cry. And I felt like whipping out the picture and saying, that's nothing. My sister's in her 40s and look at her knees. Just to make him feel better. But I was like, that's nothing. Look at my sister. She's in her 40s.
My dummy sister. One of these days I'm going to fall and I'm not going to get back up. Like, that's going to be it. I'm just going to lay there.
Take up swimming. That's like low joint.
So I told my oldest, who's for those of you who don't know this, he has he just completed his second year of cross country. They just finished their season, 8th grade season. I told him, I was like, I think that maybe the next time I go out running, you should go with me so that if I fall down, I have somebody. And then I acknowledged the fact that he's so much faster than me. And so I told him, I was like, but you'd like leave me in the dust. I would just be there on the ground. And he goes, well, I mean, if it's an out and back, I'll see you on the way back. Anyway, okay, yeah. So happy 60th to us. And I told Ron, I don't know if you saw it, Ron, but in the outline, I thought it might be fun very quickly. Not going to take up too much time, but I thought it would be fun to play a little game of this or that, which is notoriously, apparently, a very popular anniversary game for couples. I've never played it. I doubt that you guys have played it, but so it's this or that, where typically you'd ask the couples like coffee or tea, like all of these things to try and like get to know and whatever, to establish how well you know. How well you know your spouse maybe or something like that. But for the purposes of this, I thought it might be fun for us to take a look at some of the movies we watched. Let me screen share because now that I can do this, I think it'll go better for you. because you'll see
I
pictures.
never remember the names of these movies.
So this is our Letterboxd list, which we link for you guys in show notes every episode. But if you go to our Letterboxd list, you can see every single movie that we've published an episode on for the general public. And so I'm going to ask you, this is going to be lightning round. We're just going to do 5 questions, and you and I are both going to give our answers. And so then based off of how we answer, we'll build, this is Veronica's list of movies to celebrate our 60th anniversary. This is Valerie's list of movies to celebrate our 60th. So, Veronica, in the game of this or that, Devil's Backbone or Wreck?
Devil's Backbone.
So, I think for me, I would also choose Devil's Backbone. Veronica or La Arona?
Veronica.
Okay,
because I have to choose myself.
Good for you. I'm gonna go for La Arona because that movie just stuck with me. Still stays with me. Okay, When Evil Lurks or Tigers Are Not Afraid?
Oh, that's a hard one because When Evil Lurks had some good jump scares, but
it was good.
Tigers Are Not Afraid was a heart.
It was, yeah.
What is that? Heartbreaker.
Are you going with that one?
Yeah.
That is a hard one. I am so partial to Issa Lopez, so I got to go Tigers Are Not Afraid. But When Evil Lurks is by far. Okay, what about this? When Evil Lurks or Terrified, his other one that we've watched.
Which one was Terrified?
Remember, Terrified was. You had to explain it to me because I didn't get it.
I see the poster there, but it's not jogging my memory as far as.
Remember, there's like remember the dead boy that they dig up? There's like a dead boy at the table. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
That was a good one, but I didn't quite understand it. So for me, it would be When Evil Lurks.
That's a hard one. I'm gonna go Terrified just to
round it out.
To pick the other one.
Elementary, or I had an idea of what I was going to hit you with on this one, and then I lost it. Elementary or The Darkness. These were 2 movies you liked a lot.
What's a hard one too?
I can't remember if we're on number 4 or number 5. We might do one more.
That's a hard one. It's very close, but I'll go Elementary.
I'll go Darkness, just because, just to be different. But Elementary was also pretty good. Okay, last one. We got to go something zombie related. Mech Zombies. And this will be silly. This will be stupid. Mech Zombies or Summer Camp? I feel like for me, I enjoyed Mech Zombies a little bit more. It was funny, but the kids are younger. And so there's an element of stupid there that gets on yours and my nerves.
I'll go same.
Yeah. So that's just fun. Were there any other ones that you would have chosen to pair against each other? I was thinking about Piggy and something to pair it with, but I can't remember what my thought was. I'm an extra bonus question. I'm gonna ask you because I had this thought. These are 2 movies that you and I were kind of like about: The Day of the Lord or The Skin I Live In.
Ugh. I mean,
I think you got to go The Skin I Live In. At least, it's not quite so.
Disturbing in different ways, but yeah,
disturbing in different ways.
Thank you for reminding me of that other movie, The Day of the Lord. And I didn't even watch that scene. I fast forwarded through.
Yeah, but this is just, it's really cool to go back and look at this list and look at all of the movies that we've covered across 60 episodes and just know that we've done a fair amount of.
Train to Busan? Train
to Busan's on there. Let me see. I saw it. Right here. Right next to Tigers Are Not Afraid. And we watched The Ritual.
Where's Tigers Are Not Afraid? I don't see that.
Right here.
Where?
Are you looking?
Yes, but I don't see a cursor if you're trying to point to something.
Okay. No. You don't see the cursor. Okay. It's right next to Planet Terror. Do you see?
Oh, okay. Now I see it. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm like, it's right here. I'm pointing. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention before we move on, guys, because our father would be appalled if we didn't mention it. In between our last recording and this recording, somehow, I'm not even sure how I came across it. I never would have known about this and never would have found it otherwise. So back in October 16th, FeedSpot, they accumulate a lot of data over 500,000 podcasts. And so you can I think this is maybe perhaps a place where you can listen to podcasts. So it's like a platform for podcasts, but they also just pull a lot of data on podcasts. And so they put out a list, and I don't know how these lists get generated. They do tell you a little bit about it, but 5 best Latino horror podcasts to follow in 2025. And we're on it, which is pretty cool.
When did he tell you this?
Well, no, I found the list and I shared it with you guys, and our dad was like, in all caps, he's like, you have to talk about this on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
So this is the list that they have. So these are 5 best Latino horror podcasts worth listening to in 2025. Number 1, not another spooky podcast. This is hosted by Mandy Spooks and somebody who goes by the name Rabbit. There's also Susto, which I've also heard of. This is hosted by Aiden Castellanos. And I believe Aiden is here in Texas.
Cool.
I want to say somewhere here in Texas. So Susto is a podcast of ooky, spooky, scary stories centered around the folklore of Latin American and Hispanic cultures. This person has had profiles done in like Texas Standard. I think Texas Standard is affiliated with NPR. So NPR, to repeat myself. But that's why I believe they're based here in Texas. And they've done some episodes on Texas-specific lore, which is really cool, particularly lore as it relates to the RGV. And then number 3, Tales of the Night. Host is Uriel Reyes. And then number 4 is Uy Que Horror, a Latinx horror movie podcast. And so this is the one that similarly, they focus on films that are specifically Latin American voices, Latin American storytellers. So very cool to be on this list. Number 5, we are number 5. Don't watch at night. And so I thought that was just fun and worth sharing for you guys. And, if you know anybody who has not found us yet and you'd love to introduce us to them, please do, because it's pretty cool to make a top 5 list of anything.
Nice.
Yay us. Happy 60th, Ron. I have some pages, not a bunch of pages, but a little bit of pages. Just 3 pages. I'll go through it real quick. And again, I will screen share with you just so you can see what I'm looking at, Ron. It might make it more interesting for you instead of just listening to me rattle on.
Can I just eat my chips?
Yeah, of course. Folks, there's going to be eating noises. Don't be bothered. Okay, so what I thought might be fun to explore for us, given that we just read a book that centers around detective work, not that I'm necessarily saying Suburban Dicks. By the way, this is our book club episode where we're going to be talking about Suburban Dicks. We'll introduce it in a little bit, but not that I'm necessarily saying this is synonymous with dark, gritty film noir, but detectives, kind of the similar genre. So I thought it might be fun to explore with our detective book the kinds of cocktails that detectives and murder sleuths might go for. Obvious go-tos would be like bourbon, scotch. I don't happen to have any scotch on hand at the moment.
Surprise.
But in the book, Kenny, and we'll talk about Kenny when we get to that part, but Kenny in the book, when he can afford a drink, he mentions Knob Creek a couple of times in the story. And Knob Creek is a bourbon whiskey. And so I thought, okay, well, that we got to go with that.
Is that a brand or that's the name of the drink? Tom Collins is the name of the drink?
No, it's a brand. It's a brand it's a Kentucky bourbon whiskey. Okay. And I've had it before. I don't remember if I liked it or not, but I'm about to sample it again. So I'll let you know. But it's a good middle of the road price point. It's not the most expensive thing on the market by far, but it's not like bottom shelf super cheap. I think it's fairly decent. Like I said, I had it once and I can't remember if I liked it or not. But just to give you an idea, Ronnie, because I know this always drives you crazy. If you go to Total Wine, if you go to like any liquor store, but I went to Total Wine, the $35.99 bottle of Knob Creek is going to be your base bourbon whiskey, I think. That's what I would identify as like middle of the road. It's a 9-year aged bourbon whiskey. And then you can see like they do have, they have different ages. Like they have a 7-year right here. This 10-year one, this is going to be
$62. How?
Sweet. Oh, my dear. Okay. So then when we scroll on down, over here you have this On the Rocks Knob Creek Old Fashioned, which I'm guessing is like, this is like a pre-mixed batch of old fashions for $20. I wouldn't buy that personally. But then we get down here, Knob Creek Wise, $70.99. This $18 bottle, I don't know why this is marked differently. Maybe it's smaller, but their most expensive bottle, if you scroll all the way down here, is an 18-year bourbon, Knob Creek, for $165.
Why would you pay that much for something you're going to pee out in like 20 minutes? Like, why? I wouldn't pay the $35 for something I'm going to pee out in 20 minutes.
No, I will tell you why. This is my philosophy. You want to go middle of the road because if you pay for a bottom shelf experience, Veronica, you will have a bottom shelf second day. You will have a bottom shelf morning after. $35 is respectable. I've never had a $165 bottle of bourbon, so I wouldn't know. I couldn't tell you what that's like. But 18-year aged. That means it was aged for 18 years, Ron.
Well, no.
Anyway, so I just wanted to show those price points to Ron because I know it always makes her head explode. I came across a couple of fun resources for you guys that we'll share in show notes. There's a really fun blog post from 2019 over on a blog called Mystery Fanfare that's maintained by a Janet Rudolph, who's like a mistress of mystery. We'll share that for you guys. But the one I'm going to be talking about right now is one that came out on Entertainment Weekly in 2023. And it's about a book by Eddie Muller called Noir Bar, Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir. Eddie Muller, is the host of Noir Alley on Turner Classic Movies. And he also heads up a foundation called Film Noir Foundation. And they do a lot of fun stuff like film noir festivals and film preservation work. I think that's kind of cool. Do you ever watch Turner Classic Movies?
I don't have time to watch a lot of anything.
Was it? No, I think it was AMC back in the day that used to air something called Friday Fright Nights. And every Friday they would do like the late night horror movies. Like they would just have them on. Like you could watch old school stuff like Cujo and stuff like that. Because I remember when Alex and I first started dating and he would travel a lot, he would come home on Fridays and he would fall asleep on the couch, which was fine for me because I would stay up till all hours of the night watching Fright Night on AMC. Which, anyway, not Turner Classics. Back to what I'm talking about. So this article, let me pull it up. This article is basically it's an excerpt from his book, and it's really super long, so I'm not going to read it, but I am going to there's 3 cocktails that I thought were kind of cool and worth talking about. Best drinks for classic films. It's Muller or Mueller? I think it's Muller.
No idea.
Okay. Anyway, Noir Bar. There it is. This is the cover of the book. Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir. He has one drink pairing called the Hammett Martini, which he pairs with, that one was 1941's The Maltese Falcon, Veronica, which I believe stars, do you remember The Maltese Falcon?
I've never seen them. The movie, I've never seen it. Is that Bogart?
Yeah, that's Bogart. I was trying to remember his name. Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart.
So he pairs the Hammett Martini. This one calls for vodka and Bacardi rum and Benedictine. I don't normally keep Bacardi rum, so I wasn't going to be able to do this one anyway. For the next one, yeah, there's Humphrey Bogart. For the next one, he pairs the original champagne cocktail with 1950s Sunset Boulevard, which isn't. I haven't seen a bunch of film noir movies, so I haven't seen Sunset Boulevard either. You know who would have seen these movies? Our friend Bella. She's very much into film noir. The champagne cocktail. Just real quickly, for those of you who don't know what it is, I have had it before. I enjoy it. What you do is you put a sugar cube into the bottom of your flute or your coupe glass. You put some Angostura bitters. You dash a few dashes onto that cube and soak it. You can do half an ounce of cognac, optional, but you don't have to. It wasn't part of the original champagne cocktail, which, by the way, is dated back to 1862. So you can skip that. And instead, what you'll just do is you'll top. What's that sound? Oh, you'll top with champagne. No, you're fine. I just didn't know what that was. You'll top with champagne. And what that's going to do is that's going to cause this lovely string of bubbles in your champagne that lasts for a really long time.
I always thought that was bad to mix sugar with.
Well, you don't want to have
liquor.
You don't want to. Right. Well, no. All of the cocktails that Robert makes for you have simple syrup in it. That's sugar. Yeah, I wouldn't have a bunch of this. I don't think champagne and sugar mix.
Doesn't that give you a hangover? No?
It can if you have too much. Yeah, totally. You want to drink in moderation and you want to hydrate with water, guys. But yeah, we had the champagne cocktail last holiday season. It's a really nice drink. But the one we're going to be going with today, guys, for today's purposes, the Xena, which he pairs with the 2021 movie Nightmare Alley, which I never saw, but I want to, Ron, because it's got Cate Blanchett and Toni Collette in the same movie.
Nightmare Alley. I don't think I've heard of that.
I can't remember who directed it, but the Xena, you can look that up if you want to while I talk about this. The Xena is, you would go with a rye whiskey, which is not what we're doing today. I don't think that Knob Creek is a rye. I could be wrong, but I don't believe it's a rye. But because I wanted to pay homage to Kenny in the book, I'm going with Knob Creek, and I'm dubbing this cocktail, instead of calling it the Xena, I'm calling it the Comeback Kid, again as a nod to Kenny, who's desperately trying to create his comeback throughout the course of the book, because he's sort of like a fallen from grace journalist, working with his Knob Creek in place of the rye whiskey. The recipe goes 2 ounces of bourbon or rye whiskey if you want to go traditional, 3/4 ounce of sweet vermouth, 3/4 ounce Benedictine, dashes of Angostura bitters to your taste. You want to do an absinthe rinse on the glass, and I'll explain to you what that is, Ron, in just a second. And then you're going to garnish with an orange peel twist. And you'll put all of that in a shaker, and you'll shake it up, and then you'll strain into a coupe and you'll garnish with an orange twist. Eddie Muller, the author of this book, calls this one of his personal favorites. So that is our Suburban Dicks drink. And I do happen to have it right here. So let me stop share real quick and show that to the camera. This is my drink that I made like 30 minutes ago. So I'm going to take a drink real quick and let you know what it's like. Oh, that's very good. That's really, really good. I was worried. It's a strong drink. This is a spirit forward drink. So it's not.
What does that mean, spirit forward?
Well, it's just like, this is just straight booze. Like, this is all booze. It's bourbon, alcoholic, sweet vermouth, alcoholic, Benedictine, alcoholic. Like, there's no anything else in this drink. So Ron, and anyone else who doesn't know what I mean when I say absinthe rinse, basically what you do is you take a bottle of absinthe, you're going to pour like a splash into your glass and then swirl it around, let it coat the whole glass, and then you'll dump it. You're not even going to drink that. It's just really for you grab that essence of absinthe flavor that coats the glass. And so then when you pour your cocktail in, absinthe is very strong. It's very potent. So it's going to come through and you definitely taste it. It's really good.
Sounds like a poison.
Well, yeah. Like back in the day, absinthe was the one that it's like you would drink it and you would see the green fairy. Way, way back in the day, the early days of absinthe. There's absinthe bars, both in New Orleans and there's an absinthe bar here in Austin. That's our drink. And for a mocktail version, real quickly, just to run you guys through that, and then we'll get to the moment at hand. With a mocktail version of this drink, I just want to point out there's a lot of substitutes that I found online for folks. Firstly, you can get a non-alcoholic or zero proof bourbon substitute anywhere. There's so many varieties. I personally have tried a brand called Spiritless Kentucky 74, and I thought that was reasonably tasty. And then you can even get sweet vermouth substitutes. So for that, you might try Lear's Rosso or the Spirit of Vermouth Rosso. These are both non-alcoholic options. Lear's also has an absinthe alternative as well. And then Benedictine substitutes, you could try something like Gia, which is Gia Original Flavor. And that's a woman-owned brand. And then there's lots of non-alcoholic bitters out there, including the brand All the Bitters. So grab any of those options and experiment, and you can build a beautiful, complex mocktail. Okay, my friends, here we go. If you haven't read this book, we are going to spoil it for you. If you don't mind that, go ahead. If not, please stop, finish the book, and then come back. We read Suburban Dicks by Fabian Nicieza. And so here's a little bit about it. From the co-creator of Deadpool comes a hilarious, entertaining debut featuring two unlikely and unforgettable amateur sleuths, an engrossing and entertaining murder mystery full of skewering social commentary. Andrea Stern, thought she'd solved her final homicide. She was once a budding FBI profiler, but she gave up her career to raise her 4, soon-to-be 5 children in West Windsor, New Jersey. One day, between soccer games, recitals, and trips to the local pool, a very pregnant Andy pulls into a gas station and stumbles across a murder scene. She soon crossed paths with a disgraced local journalist, Kenneth Lee, who also has everything to prove in solving the case. A string of unusual occurrences and eventually body parts surfaced around town, and the two uncover simmering racial tensions and a decades-old conspiracy. Veronica finished this book way ahead of me. A first. You did audiobook, right?
Yes.
And so how did you listen to it? Like on the way to work or what?
Yeah, since I have like hour commutes almost practically everywhere. Mm-hmm. Actually, do you know, as a total non sequitur, just to go off the beaten path here for a minute, one night that I was coming home, because they've been doing construction on 35. Well, actually, the city's doing construction on all the major highways. So you're always like reading about 4.5 hours to get home one night.
Wow. Ron, why didn't you pull over and like grab dinner?
I was stuck. It took me an hour just to go 1 mile. I was rage texting Robert most of the time. By some grace of God. You
could have run out of gas.
Well, true. But by some grace of God, the real miracle was that I didn't have to go to the bathroom too badly. But anyway, back to the book.
Okay. Well, okay.
So that's when I finished it so fast, because I was just in the car. I'm in the car a lot now.
I know. I texted her one day and I was like, what did I say? I think it was like, I'm in part 2 or something like that. And you're like, I finished it Thursday. I was like, oh, well, damn. Okay. And I was like working hard to get to where I was. So I finished it maybe like 2 or 3 days ago. But yeah, so Ron, give me your feedback. What did you think of this book?
I enjoyed it for the most part. The audiobook the narrator did a really good job with the voices and acting it out. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a problem with the writing. I think there were some real stretches of logic leaps, connecting dots. Okay. I was really kind of found Andy mostly annoying.
Okay.
It's not all the time, but just I'll get to when we get more into details about things.
Yeah, I mean, I have some thoughts on her as well. What did you think of Kenny or
Um,
Kenneth,
I mean, I thought he
journalist?
was okay. Made some bad choices, but he owned up to it, and he didn't present himself as being some altruistic person. He definitely had his own agenda for doing things. Although I do think by the end he was a little more invested in doing something because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, guys, like this book was a deliberate departure from the books we've read up in book club up to this point. So we specifically sought out something that wasn't going to necessarily be like classic horror or even anywhere kind of in the vein of horror.
Mm.
I wouldn't qualify this as this is a mystery, like a murder mystery. It's a mystery thriller. There's enough lightheartedness in the book and enough sarcastic humor in the book that it's just like at no point did I feel scared or
No,
tense or whatever.
no, it's pretty
So,
much straight up just a mystery.
did you find any of that dry humor in it, or was it just sort of not as strong as you were anticipating it to be, funny wise?
I mean, I saw where the attempt was to be humorous, and I certainly think it probably came across better
Mm-hmm.
listening to the audiobook than if I was trying to read it on my own. I just personally never laughed.
There wasn't too much like laugh out loud humor, which I guess I
Mhm.
was expecting a little bit of, given how it just pitches itself as being funny. I appreciated the sarcastic banter between like Andrea and Kenny. I don't call her Andy. It's weird that it calls her Andy because I don't know that anywhere in the book they call her Andy. It's always Andrea.
Yeah,
But Stern is her maiden name, right? And it's Andrea.
I don't remember. I didn't even
Yep.
remember her name was Andy. Coming in today, I
Here,
was like, I don't even remember the main characters' names.
here's what I was going to ask you because I read the ebook and I highlighted passages on my ebook
Hmm.
and I don't know how to access those highlighted passages, Ron. How do I get to those? What do I do? Oh, I can go to my highlights. Highlight. Oh, okay, I see it. How do
I
I
was
do that?
trying to remember what this interface looks like on a Kindle because mine's been
Yeah.
dead. I need to find a new charger, buy a new
Okay,
charger
yeah, because
for
I
it.
highlighted things because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to highlight in case I want to talk about this later. And then I was just like, I don't even know how you access that. I'm not good with ebooks, guys. And so that was the other thing. Once again, has nothing to do with the story. It has everything to do with the format. Because I did ebook, it took me a long time to get into this book because I just dragged butt on reading ebooks. But then when I finally did get into it, it was a good story. It does pull you in. Chapters are quick, it moves
Hmm.
fast, so it's very easy to read through. Even though it's a big book, it's got like 3 parts to it. You blow through it pretty quick. Yeah, okay. Now I know how to access the highlights. Wow. Well, now I'm
Right.
going to highlight all the time.
So, which ones
So,
did you highlight? Like to discuss?
I'm jumping around a little bit. What I found hard from the jump to relate to Andy, is just that it's just like, and I'm not trying to sound judgy, but I don't know how you get to 5 kids with a husband you don't even really like. Like, I'm just like, how she's locked herself in to this role where
Hmm.
she was like this brilliant, what is she, like a profiler? She was a
Hmm.
profiler?
Well, she would have been if she'd
She would
ever.
have been. She had the makings of being this brilliant profiler, and she got involved with a guy in college. They got pregnant, and so they wound up together. And so 4 kids later, with a kid on the way, she's just in this miserable, unhappy place. And part of me, and again, this sounds judgy, and I don't mean it to be, but I feel like how does that happen? How do you
Well,
let that happen?
I will be judgy. I have no problem with being judgy. That's why she annoyed me because I got tired of listening to she could barely tolerate her husband and this is the life she wanted, yada yada. And I'm like, well, lady, number one, at first I thought, well, when was this book published? Like in the 50s? Because okay, so she's dating her husband in college. She's a day away from breaking up with him when she finds out she's pregnant. Okay, that doesn't mean you have to marry him.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you could have had the kid. I mean, unless the FBI has some rule against not hiring women with children, which I seriously doubt. And even then, she would have been a profiler, not a agent in the field. That
Yeah.
wouldn't have precluded her from, even if not being in the FBI, working
I
in
didn't
law
realize I was
enforcement,
going to set Ron off.
working
Go
in
for it.
law enforcement somewhere. I mean, you're in this life because you've put yourself there. Like you didn't
Right.
have to marry this guy if you didn't love him, and you certainly didn't have to go and have 3 other kids with another one on the way. Like I don't feel sorry for you. You did this to yourself.
It is, well, like part of it is because like there is a moment in the book, and honestly, I'm looking at the freaking crap I highlighted, and I don't even know why I highlighted it. But there's a specific section in the book where she talks about Andrea in her college years. She solves some major murder case, and with a young FBI agent guy, Ramon, who she kind of falls in love with. Ramon has a fiance. She has her relationship with Jeff. Isn't that the name of her husband, Jeff?
I think so.
Yeah. So she is in a relationship with Jeff, and they fall in love, but they never act on it, which I appreciated. I'm like, good for you people for not making the dumbest mistake you could possibly make. But they fall in love, and so she chastises herself in the book. And I wish I'd highlighted the passage, because she specifically says, I chose the sure thing. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but the sure thing for the wanted thing, the desired thing. It's like, I wanted Ramon. That wasn't a safe bet. I chose a safe bet. And it's like, okay, so then you're acknowledging in your brain, like you're acknowledging you made the wrong choice. You chose the sure thing. And for what? Pardon me, again, this sounds judgy, but it's like, you're too smart for that. Don't do that. Like, come on. Yeah. Like you said, like you can just be a single mom. And I know it's hard to be a single mom and be an FBI profiler, but you would have had the one kid instead of 4 kids plus one on the way.
Yeah. So yeah, that got annoying. It's like, quit bemoaning it.
Okay, so if we want to set up, sorry, I hit the mic. Dang it, y'all. I'm sorry. Veronica, I hit the mic so much. If we kind of want to set up where we open in the story for ourselves to kind of get us going, the start of the book is, actually, I thought this was really well done, and it kind of grabbed me the way that it's done. The book starts off talking about Saku. So Saku Sazmal, I love chapter 1, the way that it opens, kind of talking about him. He would have been the first to admit he'd had worse nights working the midnight shift at his uncle's Valero station. There was this one time that he was robbed at gunpoint. Another time he was robbed at knife point. One time he was robbed at spatula point. And there was last night when Saku Sazmal was murdered. That's a great opening page, leading you in with like, here's this guy. Oh, wait, now he's dead. And so then you're opening up with like the crime scene. And we get introduced to officer.
Just like a beat cop.
Officers Michelle Wu and somebody Patek.
I don't remember anybody's names.
Patel, Officer Patel and Officer Wu. And so that's where we also get introduced to Andrea, because Andrea shows up in her Odyssey minivan. I have an Odyssey. I have a minivan as well. I don't have as many kids, but she shows up with her brood onto this crime scene. Did you enjoy that opening as well? Do you think that was interesting?
Page, yeah. But then I don't understand why when she pulls her youngest, because she stops at this gas station where the Saku dude has been murdered, because she's looking for a bathroom for her youngest to go to the bathroom. She holds out her child. What I don't get is, why was this child like naked from the waist down already, so that it's peeing just there on the concrete? Like, it's like,
maybe they were potty training. I don't know.
And you're driving around with your kid half naked in the back seat.
Was he naked? He didn't have any bottoms?
Because that was the officer was talking about how she's contaminating the crime scene because the kid's urinating on the floor.
Well, I just assumed she or he, I can't remember. I just assumed the kid like peed through their underwear or something, or through their I don't know, whatever. But maybe. Yeah. So she contaminates the crime scene, and we also sort of get a glimpse because of that, because they're like, dude, what are you doing contaminating the crime scene? And then that's when Andrea kind of lays in, and she's like, oh, you mean the crime scene that's already a complete disaster because of all these mistakes that you've made? So all of that I thought was a really cool introduction to this woman. If you wonder who she is at that point, that she's so knowledgeable. And by the way, she's described throughout the course of this book as just like this whale of a pregnant woman. Like, it got to the point where it's just like, okay, I get it. This author thinks that pregnant women are just whales.
Just waddling everywhere.
I just imagine like this very, like me, for instance, like I don't have a very long torso. So I always grew out, or I always grew like out, like in front of me, not so much wide. Mm-hmm. And I remember my doctor telling me, well, yeah, you have like a short little torso. The baby has nowhere to go but out. And I was just like, well, damn, that hurts, doc, but accurate, especially with my last pregnancy run. With my last pregnancy, I got so huge and so uncomfortable. I get it. Like reading those parts of with Andrea being like just hitting her limit of being uncomfortable. I was like, yeah, I remember that. All right. What else?
Did it felt to me like Kenny's character kind of got sidelined by the end. It was like Andrea was running everything and going to which you have 4 children. And
Mhm.
it's like she keeps palming them off on friends. And that's a lot of kids to look after, especially
Yeah.
kids, people who have their own kids.
Right.
She just like kept palming them off on other people to watch. And
I
even
did I
Kenny at one point,
Eric,
who
and
doesn't like kids.
the other thing that I felt shifted in the book, and maybe it's not that there was a shift so much as just like I, as a reader, had ascribed something to Kenny, and then I was being made to feel a different way. I didn't necessarily think Kenny was such a asshole opportunist in the start of the book. Like I always thought he was a reasonably good guy, just trying.
Well, I never thought he gets
He gets
he ta-
portrayed that
he
way.
gets he talks about himself that way, but even in the course of the book, I never saw him as
Yeah.
that much of an asshole. Like he kept
Right.
talking about how I'm just an asshole, but I was like, I didn't really see that.
I didn't see that.
If anything, I saw how he kept trying to reach out to what was that policeman's name?
Benjamin,
Benjamin.
the youngest of Beck. Yeah.
You know, he kept trying to reach out, and yeah, he was trying to get a story, but
And trying to redeem himself, but it's
Yeah.
like, but also that's the job. Like that's
Yeah.
the job of a reporter is to be sort of in your face and pushing for the truth. So I didn't necessarily ever identify him as a jackass, and yet like by the end of the book, I just felt like the way that characters would talk about him and the way that the narrator would sort of comment, it just made me feel like I'm supposed to think he's a jackass, and I don't, and I don't feel like I don't feel like that's fair to Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny. Yeah, I
So
thought
it's
that
kind
one
of funny
too.
that for both our main characters, it was set up so that we were supposed to view them a certain way, and it almost flipped. Like we're
Yeah.
supposed to think Andy's this brilliant person, but she's made all these idiotic personal life
Right.
choices. So I'm like,
Yeah.
how smart are you?
And that's not, and that's not to say she's not good at her job. Like she is good, but it's just
Mhm.
like, yeah, you've allowed your life to become a train wreck. And at a certain point, you should maybe have some accountability for that,
Yeah.
some self-awareness. I want to see some self-awareness on her part.
Hmm.
And I don't feel like it's there. I feel like she's just like, oh, this happened to me. And I could have been this and this and this. And it's like, well, you still could. You're like in your 40s.
Now it's really going to be hard because now you're going to have 5 kids.
Right. Okay. So the Debecks, because I had a hard time keeping, because they're all B's. I had a hard time keeping them straight. So the Benjamin's the young one,
Mhm.
the son. The father is, what's the father's name? I feel like he's the grandfather is Bradley Debeck. I want to say it's Bradley. I get the father, the chief, doesn't really factor in, I guess, too much in the story. It's really a story between the racist grandfather and Benjamin, the son. What did you think of that?
The gay grandson.
Yeah, what did you think of, so like in the lead up to reading about this book, the blurbs and stuff that we'd read on it, talking about simmering racial tensions prevalent in this town. What did you think of that? Because I initially in the story, I was wondering when that was going to crop up, and then it does, and it does in a really strong way throughout much of the story.
Well, I mean, that's real life. That's nothing surprising. And
Mhm.
the crime that happened however many years ago, that was the original crime.
But and then like what I found so interesting, because so this town, which is a real town by the way, and this is a real West Windsor is the town that this author moved to and lived in, but he is very adamant that like everyone in this story is fictional. He wasn't necessarily writing the story to like dog West Windsor in any way. What I found really interesting reading the story was just like in the modern day time, not the initial murder, but the modern day times is just like what I would describe as a lot of what we would call microaggressions now.
Mhm.
The subtle ways in which quote unquote nice suburban people are ignorant and will say things that are offensive and racist, and maybe not even necessarily always intending to be racist and offensive. But I'm talking about like the younger people, not the old people. The old people are fully freaking racist, but like the younger people in this story that just say the dumb thing, the senseless, insensitive thing. And that was very, I guess, like hits close to home, because I mean, I think we probably get exposed to that in our own day to day.
What I did find convenient, for lack of a better word, is how all the people that had the body parts buried on their land or adjacent to their land and who were denied pool permits all happened to be Indian. Well, that's convenient. I mean, for purposes of the plot, that's one of those things where you're like, oh, it's written this way for reasons because the plot needs it to be this way, not because it really makes sense.
So, to lay it out for people, I don't know, how do we lay that out in the story? So,
like, when did the original crime happen? Was it the 50s?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere like in the 50s, there was a young, maybe 18, 19, young black man and a white
Cleon Singleton.
And a young white female that,
and I forget her name.
She fell in love with him and things happened and they got pregnant. And of course, when her racist father and his friends found out, they basically ganged up on this poor young black kid and murdered him, dismembered him, and buried his body around town, which back then there was a lot of rural farm area. And so they thought it was good to go. Well, of course, as always happens, cities grow, neighborhoods are popping up, construction. And so now there's homes built on all this land. And some of the people were applying for pool permits, and all these people happen to be Indian because apparently there's been an influx of Indian people that have moved into Windsor. Is that the name of the place?
West Windsor, yeah.
West Windsor.
Well, so
the city keeps denying their pool permits because, of course, they don't want them digging.
And so, to like a casual observer, it does seem to be that the pool permits that are being denied do happen to be a lot of families of color, specifically Indian families. But also, I think there were a Chinese family, maybe. Mm-hmm. What's worth noting, while that seems convenient for the plot, I think what the plot also does, and I thought I had highlighted this or made a note somewhere in my notes app about it. What the book does is what it's describing. Hold on, I wrote it down. Oh, Kenny's mom, who lives in like a home for elderly people.
Is he Korean?
I thought she said Chinese. I thought he said Chinese.
Was it Chinese?
I could be wrong. I thought he said
No,
Chinese.
you might be right. I mean, you sometimes on audiobook you miss details because you just miss them.
She's a realtor, right?
I think.
Yeah. So anyway, what she's describing in the book on pages 210 and 211, I did make maybe I can go and find that, but she's describing what we call white flight. So she's describing instances where it's like this was a community that started out predominantly white. And then what happens is you get more and more influx of communities of color across all ethnic backgrounds. What ends up happening in real life as well, what ends up happening is you have white families leave. And so a community that was at one point when they dismembered Cleon Singleton and buried him around the community, it was all white. With the incoming of black families, Chinese families, Indian families, I don't think there's a Hispanic person in sight in this book except Ramon. But what happens is those white families leave or maybe go to more affluent parts of the community. And so, yeah, you have a lot of permits being rejected that do happen to be Indian families. But that's also just because that happens to be what the predominant population is at that point in this story, which is true. Like where I live, I'm sure at some point this was predominantly white. It's not anymore. It is predominantly Hispanic, Indian, Black. Like we do have a very diverse population in our little area, but the white people that we do have here still have very old fashioned notions of, it's still small Texas town mentality.
And the other thing that maybe, and again, because you miss sometimes little details in audiobook and it's not like you can go back and reread it because it's too hard to find your spot. How in the world did Andy how did she even jump from, okay, people are having pool permits denied to, oh, maybe it's because somebody buried something there.
Yeah, like
that was a big jump.
Felt a little weird because like at what point in the story does she make that connection? There's the conversation that the cellulitis are having with the Indian women. Cellulitis. Oh, like because elitists.
Yeah, elitists.
That makes sense. I like that. Cellulitis. Okay.
It was pretty quick because as soon as she starts hearing multiple,
I was
Indians
thinking cellulite, but cellulitis. That's
the way the audiobook lady pronounced it.
Okay, no, that makes total sense. The minute you said it, I was like, okay. Okay. Anyway.
But where was I going with that? Oh, she makes that hypothesis, that theory. She comes to that theory pretty quickly after hearing multiple people of color have had their pool permits denied. Did I maybe black out for a minute and while driving and I missed the
where she made the jump to
information that she has that
there's a body part as far as plot goes, that is interesting. But yeah, the way that you do have to wonder how she made that leap. Let's see, what else?
So what did you think about, because this original crime was committed not by any of the people in the town, in the sheriff's department, in the permit office, whatever, that are helping to perpetuate this cover up.
Mm-hmm.
None of them were actually, probably may not even been born when this original crime happened, yet it's like descendants of the original perpetrators. What did you think of them doing that?
In the reading of it, I didn't necessarily question it. I kind of just went with it. But as you're pointing it out now, yeah, it doesn't really feel like a very strong enough motive for why. Because the other people, so the Dobecks obviously are the family at the root of this cover up, and they're the Dobecks are also just like a long line of people that have been the heads of law enforcement in this town. So every Dobeck man has been the chief of police at one point. And so the other people who are covering up this conspiracy are other people that work in local government offices or what have you. I guess through the story, it seems like those people were like their ancestors were part of this.
Then we find out
But it's
that
not
the
like
person,
I'm going to go to jail because
Right.
It's like I'm going to go to jail
And-
now because I'm participating in a cover up.
that didn't make any sense to me. And then especially to find out that the person that actually, well, I guess they all took part in dismembering the body, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember.
I
Because
think
the person who actually killed Cleon
yes,
was the father of the daughter that got pregnant.
But yeah, I think
And the other men just kind of,
I think where they're all implicated is they
participated in the
all did
cover-up.
take. I think they all did take part in either the dismemberment or the burial. So they all assisted in assisted homicide. I don't know the Veronica, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at everything I highlighted, and it doesn't make sense why I just would highlight this. Like Andrea looks at her husband and Kenny, and then at Gary, who is looking at the open fridge for something to eat, and she's like, I have the makings of a task force. So Andrea enlists all of her friends, all of the people, and she's just like, I'm gonna single-handedly get a task force. I don't really understand why I highlighted some of the things I highlighted.
That's the nature of highlighting.
Because you can't go in and make notes. Like, this is why this is important. Like,
but yeah, I just didn't understand why all these people are still participating in this cover-up. I think the only person that we know of anyway that is still surviving from back then is the old chief of police.
Yeah, the Dobeck, senior Dobeck who's in the nursing home.
Everybody else it's just the descendants of those people. So I'm like, why are you even participating in the cover-up anymore?
So what did you think about, again, we're jumping all over the place, but like with Benjamin Dobeck, with the youngest, with the grandson, who does happen to be gay, and he is closeted at this point. You know, his grandfather obviously knows, but his father, who is the current chief of police, suspects, but maybe doesn't know for sure. Who knows? Regardless, Benjamin has not come out. What did you think of the book ultimately making him the murderer of Saku Sazmal?
That was disappointing. I really didn't want it to be him. And
do you feel like
I didn't understand why he did it? Like,
right.
Your grandfather is so hateful to
and
you.
You know it. And you know he is. And it's like, why would you choose to do that?
He's degrading you the night of when you're trying to take him home. Because originally the grandfather was going over there to kill Saku and gets pulled over by police. And I don't know if he's like early dementia or whatever, a little adult.
Yeah, I think he hit a
drunk
curb
or something.
Yeah.
But like he's being so hateful to you that night on the drive home. Like I don't understand why
you would do
what
it.
he did.
Right.
It didn't make any sense to me at all.
It's very disappointing. And even in the book, it's like his first mistake was this. His second mistake was this. And then in a long line of bad choices. And it's like, but I wanted a breakthrough for him. Yeah. Like
break that cycle, break away from your toxic family. And I almost wonder if that was because it felt so, it just didn't make sense why he would do that. And so I don't know if it was maybe a case where the author was initially intending to go in a different direction, like maybe was intending for it to have been the grandfather, but then for whatever reason switched gears at the 11th hour. But it just didn't make sense. I just don't understand why he would have done that. Murder someone who has never done anything to you.
I mean, that's the other thing is there's like this the chapter where it's Benjamin flashing back and we're seeing what went down that night and exactly what order of things happened that fell into place for him to ultimately commit this murder. And so then when we're getting to the moment where he drives up to the gas station and is interacting with Saku, it's just so freaking sad because you're just like, This is you doing something you never would have wanted to do on your own, and to a person who absolutely didn't deserve it and has no idea what's going on. What did you think of the ending? I was expecting there to be a little bit more things. Like, I did not expect it. I know this is part one. There is a second book out, guys, called, I forget what it's called. I'll look it up for here in a second. But I didn't expect it to end quite so cliffhanger.
What was I don't remember what it is.
So the ending of the book is where Andrea is showing up at a press conference that the governor has scheduled. She's getting ready to get up and speak, and essentially her water breaks. She goes into labor, and then it ends. And I was like, well, I was expecting for a little bit more closure than that. I guess I will have to read the not necessarily for the show, but do you feel like this is a series you would read more of just to know what happens next?
Maybe if she'd have been an interest.
If she rights the ship, are you interested if she gets her life back? The second book makes me wonder if she's going to end up a widow, because what is it called? The self-made widow. So I'm like, is she going to off her husband? And that's how she gets out of this situation?
No, I think that's something to do with the murder suspect. Yeah, it's the husband of Queen Bee. Molly Good is found dead.
Oh, okay.
So it's a self-made widow is the murder suspect. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to reading it. I would have to know that Andy's not going to spend another book bemoaning her life choices.
Her predicament. Yeah. It's not just that she's constantly talking about how miserable she is. Like, what's frustrating for me is that there just doesn't in this first story anyway. Maybe I would hope that some self-discovery would happen in the second story, but there's just no here. How did I put myself in this situation? It's not like Jeff showed up in my life and I just couldn't help myself. She even talks about the fact that she didn't like him right away. She wasn't that into him right away. So it's just what choices did you make in this scenario that led you here? And maybe a little bit of accountability on your own part, babe. This is how we get free, Andrea. This is how we liberate ourselves. What did you think of Ramon? What did you think of Ramon? So Ramon is the FBI agent who Andrea has a long-standing crush on.
I mean, he was okay. There wasn't really much written about him.
Are you grateful that the author didn't work in any kind of illicit romance between those two?
How could he? I mean, Andrea's a
whale.
On the verge of giving birth.
A self-described whale, okay? I don't think she's a whale. She thinks she's a whale.
And apparently he's married and is expecting his own first child. So, it would have been very crass if that had happened. What would be the attraction to a woman who's heavily pregnant and has 4 small children? They're all under the age of, I think her oldest was 10. If I was a man, I wouldn't want to walk into that.
You're like, no, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The other thing that I kind of found interesting in the story was I was not anticipating off of the ending of chapter 1. I wasn't anticipating the world that we were going to go into. So I was not anticipating that Andrea and Jeff they're affluent. At one point they were more affluent.
Another reason why I don't feel sorry for her. At one point she says how they only have, what was it, $14,000 or $18,000 in the bank. I'm like, and their downhoused house that they've never lived here anywhere small since college was what?
Yeah,
4,000, 3,000 square foot home. It's she even calls it herself a McMansion at one point. And yes. Okay.
She describes they get home from chapter 1. They get home. The kids go out to the backyard. What I seem to recall is that she describes this lovely backyard terrace and the huge backyard. There's a pond. There's all this crap. So I was just like, oh, she's rich. She's wealthy.
Yeah, apparently her husband, Jeff, was in finance and probably worth a few million, but turns out he was embezzling money or stealing money from clients. I don't know. Anyway, disgraced in that sense. They've downsized, air quotes, downsized.
To just a regular McMansion.
Now you're really just pissing me off.
Were there other logic leaps that you found hard aside from the bones in the yard in people's fields and...
You know what I like to see in mysteries or detective, I don't like it when the protagonist, detective, amateur sleuth, whatever they are, is always right. Because that's not realistic. And I know we're reading fiction and so it's not. But, I mean, have them be wrong once in a while. Have them come up with a theory that doesn't pan out or the evidence.
Something that knocks them back on their heels,
Because I don't think that ever happened to her in this book. It's every leap of logic that she made, every deduction, it was always right. Mm-hmm. She was never, and I don't that's annoying to me too.
Well, it's
And that's
another
not
way.
specific to this book. I've seen that a lot in other.
Sure. Yeah. But it's also, it's like another way where it's like where I felt the book took a turn. Like, I guess it was easy for me to sort of look at Andrea as sort of a little bit of a hot mess in the first half of the book, because her life does seem like it's a hot mess. Hot mess within a certain realm of privilege, but hot mess nonetheless, of her own making. So then, like, the second half of the book, where we're made to feel like Kenny is just this freaking dipshit, for lack of another way to put it, that they all have to put up with. And why it didn't necessarily ring true for me is because of what you're pointing out. It's like suddenly Andrea is this infallible woman who's brilliant in her job, and he's this bumbling idiot, when he wasn't a bumbling idiot in the first half of the book. He's the one who sort of pushed important questions at the beginning of the book, and maybe even particularly uncovered that there was potentially something behind the scenes happening.
Yeah.
She was just a woman who showed up at a crime scene with a kid who was peeing everywhere. Yeah, like a little bit more balance. In the next novel, it would be nice to see her have more human moments. And then, a little bit of self-awareness on her part would be great.
Be wrong, because that's the way it would actually work. You know, you watch an episode of Dateline and they'll pursue different leads, and sometimes the person they think did it actually, it doesn't pan out, and that theory wasn't right. So let's pivot and
try something else. Yeah,
try something else. But yeah, she was just never wrong.
Never wrong, and Kenny was a jackass. It was enjoyable. Like, I did enjoy reading it. Little irritating characters here and there aside. It's always nice to read a story where there's a woman kind of at the helm of things. As a matter of fact, I was just watching Copycat this weekend, Ron, and sort of realizing that Copycat came out the same year that Seven did, as well as a bunch of other like thriller movies of that genre. And what's unique about Copycat, which stars Sigourney Weaver, Holly Hunter, what's unique about that is that it's women. It's a women-led film. So it's kind of cool. So I appreciated that in the story too, I guess. So yeah, it was an enjoyable read, an easy read. I think if you guys are into fun little whodunits, then this will be up your alley. And if you're into books that are like a series, like I said, this is the first of what is at least 2 and potentially more to come.
Of course, we already spoiled it for you, so that's.
But I mean,
you should have read it before you listened.
Right. So we will be announcing our next upcoming book club pick soon. It won't happen on this particular episode, but we'll announce it on our socials. So if you guys don't follow us, please go follow us. We are at Don't Watch at Night Pod on pretty much everywhere. We do have ideas for what we want that next book to be, but that book club discussion episode would not be coming until probably end of January. So this was our final book for 2025. Our next book will be for 2026 discussion time. Veronica, we're on the cusp of entering the holidays. Are you excited?
I haven't thought about it. I haven't really yet.
You're like, I'm just trying to make it through one day at a time, damn it.
Yes, pretty much. I still have a few like Christmas decorations up in the house that just never got taken down. And so
Are you serious?
At this point, they're just staying up. Yeah, I have a Christmas wreath like hanging in the kitchen above the pantry. The Christmas tree, the artificial Christmas tree that we keep upstairs is still up there.
It's still up?
So
I guess I haven't been to your house in a while. Well, you might as well just keep it. You could have made it a Halloween tree this whole season.
What I've had some people tell me you should just decorate it like for the seasons throughout the year, like a Halloween tree or a fall tree and then a spring tree, Easter, whatever. But
shout out to our cousin Nana, who every year she'll take the Christmas tree and she'll turn it into like a New Year's tree, which I think is cool. She'll decorate it with like New Year's stuff. Okay, happy Halloween. And when we see you again, we'll be in November. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Don't Watch at Night is a Nest production hosted by me, Veronica, and Valerie. Editing by Valerie. Music by Omar Chakor. Production support for this episode provided by Lorenzo Villarreal and Alex Street. Listen to new episodes of Don't Watch at Night every other Monday, and don't forget to give us a rate and review. It's the best way to help us grow.
Hi friends, it's Valerie, and I'm just dropping in really quick to let you know that I've written another book. Just in Time for Spooky Season, A Song for Adelita is out now. It tells the haunting story of a family's tireless search for truth and betrayal that they'll uncover along the way. This is a book that incorporates Las Soldaderas as well as the Rio Grande Valley here in Texas. It's a story that I'm very proud of, so if you're looking for a new ghost story to read this season, Pick up a copy of A Song for Adelita, available now on Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and over on Amazon, ebook on Amazon. And thanks for supporting independent books like mine. Bye.